Hello, everyone. Welcome to Avaya's Healthy Aging Curriculum. I am Andy Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of Avaya University. Avaya is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive resources. And thank you, as always, for joining us. Our fellow teacher today is Laura Rimmer, and she is here to talk with you about Keto Alkaline, the anti-aging super diet. Laura has been coaching people to better health since 2002. She is a nutritionist, a master keto diet coach, author, and many other things. So thank you so much for being here with us, Laura.
You're very welcome, Andy. Lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So let's talk about this. So, I mean, keto is a word that I think so many people know at this point. However, like they might not know the details of it. So for anyone who doesn't know what this means, what is a ketogenic diet?
Yeah, so ketogenic diet is, for anyone who doesn't know, so it's a dietary protocol that is high in fat, low in carbohydrates, and kind of moderate in protein. So a lot of people confuse it with the Atkins diet, but it's actually much higher fat than that. So you're talking around about 80% of your calories coming from fat, and then as little as about 5% calories from carbohydrate, which sounds crazy low. And when I first found this diet, I thought this sounds completely just unsustainable. Who can do this? Who can live on 5% carbs? And kind of about 15% protein. So it's super high in fat, and the premise of it is that our body, for the most part, if we're having a diet that's rich in carbohydrates, so above about 10-15% of our calories from carbs, then our bodies will always take those carbs and store. So, we always eat fat and protein as well, but our bodies will store those other macronutrients, specifically fat, as fat on our body. So that's where we can gain weight, but at the same time be hungry. We have this weird kind of thing going on where we're eating carbs but storing fat. So we want to reverse that up. That's the premise of the keto diet. So we want to lower the carbs so it puts our body into this fat burning mode. And why it's called the keto diet is that once we lower those carbs sufficiently enough, then our body starts producing ketone bodies. So ketones in the liver. It converts fat from our body and from our diet into ketones and then burns them instead. And why do we want to do this then? What's the advantage? Well, ketones are a much cleaner fuel source, so we can experience things like quite rapid weight loss, mental clarity, much sharper brain. So many people who I work with have said, this is amazing, like I've got more mental energy, more physical energy than I've had in decades in some cases. So there's a lot of advantages, and certainly also for many types of degenerative disease. And since the topic is healthy aging, then absolutely the things that are traditionally associated with aging can really be addressed in a big way with the keto diet.
So let's talk a little more about the anti-aging effects of the keto diet. So why is it that it is helpful in this arena?
Yeah, so I guess before we get into that, is it okay if I just spend a little bit of time talking about my background? Because that will give a perspective on why I think this diet is super powerful. So I went to university in 1998 to study law. And at the time, I was super unhealthy. So eating junk food, McDonald's, quite often, smoked as well, smoking about 10 cigarettes a day. And then I'd come home from my studies and my lectures and things. And then most evenings I'd be out with my friends partying and drinking. So not surprisingly, after a few months of this kind of lifestyle, being away from home, kind of living it up, I started feeling, Andy, that I was aging at a really rapid rate. So here I was as a kind of 19, 20-year-old feeling like an 80-year-old woman. That's how I felt at the time. I thought, I'm like an old woman. My body is aching. I'm putting on weight. I'm not able to concentrate. I was sleeping in till kind of midday most days. My lectures were in the afternoon. And after a few months of this, I thought, okay, I've really got to make a change here, because this, if you fast forward to a year down the line of this kind of lifestyle, this isn't going to look good. So I really consciously, and I didn't know what I was doing at that time in terms of nutrition and whatever, but I thought, I'll give it a go. I'll start looking into diet and nutrition and join a gym and just take it from there. So I joined my local gym, started doing a little bit of running and swimming and things. And that had a really good effect on, it gave me more energy. And then instead of having the McDonald's and late nights drinking and things, I just made a few simple changes, like making my own meals at home from fresh. So without all the additives and things, and just immediately felt a lot better. So a couple of years on from there, I was now on this path of health. I was bitten by the bug of health and nutrition and things, and really dived into the research at this point on healthy eating, and was using myself as a bit of a guinea pig. So I was running kind of most days at the gym, and a lady in my gym kind of noticed the running and fitness I was doing and said, "Why don't you put yourself in for a half marathon race?" And I thought, there's no way I could do that. I'm not really a sports person. And so completely dismissed it, but she kept asking me about it. So eventually I did. I put myself in for a running race and trained for this half marathon and did it, and felt so good. All those endorphins you get from exercise and just finishing that, that finish line and having that sense of achievement. But at that point, I was still running these races, going to the gym, and lighting up cigarettes at the end of it. So that had to go. So a couple years on from there, I'd now given up cigarettes and was really focused in on my nutrition. And I was experimenting. So I would look at, okay, if I have a high carbohydrate diet, if I have lots of fruits and vegetables, healthy whole grains, and reduce the protein and fat, what effect does that have on my running performance, my recovery, my sleep? And I saw that a diet kind of focused in on lots of vegetables was really beneficial, but also a diet rich in healthy whole grains and things. So I thought at the time. So I went down that path for quite a few years, to the point where the kind of extreme end of that was I became a vegan. So a low fat, high carb vegan for 6 years. And for the first few years, I felt really good. And running a nutrition website, I've worked with many people who've also kind of gone down that path, and I had a lot of vegan friends at the time. So it's not an uncommon experience for people to try a completely plant-based diet and feel good to start with. However, after several years on this kind of way of eating, I noticed that, and I was still doing my running races at this point and actually upping the distances. I was running marathons and even ultra marathons and things. I found that after a couple of years, it kind of plateaued and then started going downhill. So my energy dropped. I wasn't sleeping very well. My recovery was not good. So, muscles would take days and days and days to recover from even quite short runs and things. I was constantly cold. So my fingers and toes were always cold. I think I had a thyroid issue. So I thought, I'm not so sure about this as the best dietary approach at this point. So really started studying again, looking more into the research and thinking that I'm missing something here. So looked and found, and also running a health website, I had people emailing me. I get lots and lots of emails from people all around the world kind of every day of the week saying, have you seen this diet? What do you think about this? What do you think about me trying, this type of food for this type of disorder or whatever? And quite a few people at this point were emailing me about the ketogenic diet. So I looked into it, but I only looked into it on a very kind of surface level. And I saw that it was this high fat protocol and thought, well, this is not healthy. And I kind of dismissed it out of hand. From what I knew to be true, a high saturated fat diet was going to give us heart disease, cancer, diabetes. So I pretty much dismissed it. But when I'd gone through 6 years of veganism, I thought, do you know what? I think I need to take a second look at this high fat diet. I think there might be something in it. And also I had friends who were also running ultra marathons like I was at the time, and they were fueling themselves with things like coconut oil. So just literally a few tablespoons of coconut oil, and then they just run like 50 miles.
Mm.
And what's more, they looked really good. So unlike a lot of vegans who I'd been, because I used to speak at a lot of vegan events, and I noticed that people who were kind of 10, 15, 20 years down the line into veganism had sagging skin, wrinkled skin. They didn't have a glow about them. They looked really tired. Whereas my friends who are doing this really high fat diet, they looked really good. They looked youthful, vibrant. And I thought, I think there might be something in this. So when I actually took the time to look at the research around keto, study the books, watch lectures and things, and hang around with other people who are doing this, I saw, okay, saturated fats and other types of fat, olive oil and avocados and nuts and seeds and things, are actually really good for us. And this is probably for a different topic, but there's so much propaganda around the notion of cholesterol and saturated fat. People are so afraid of that kind of stuff, but actually that's what produces health. And in terms of, and we can get into this more, I'm sure, but in terms of anti-aging and, aging in a kind of graceful way in terms of our physical appearance, our mental energy and things, it's absolutely essential to have these good healthy fats, and that includes saturated animal fats. So when I understood this, tried it out for myself, and literally overnight I saw improvement in my skin. My energy levels went back up. So I'd kind of lost my drive in running my online business, my nutrition practice, being a vegan, and all of that came back, which was amazing. And I went on to write my next book. And so at this point, I've been now doing keto coupled with an alkaline diet for several years, and coaching in that area as well. And it's really been a game changer. So I'll leave it there for the moment.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. It's always good to get a perspective of what your journey has been and how you came into doing what you do today. So I would love it so we've touched on the anti-aging effects of the keto diet. So what about the alkaline? So could you talk about the difference between the two?
Yeah, so the alkaline diet, people think, a lot of people who I meet think, well, how does that work? Ketogenic, which is high fat, isn't that meat and dairy and animal products and things? And alkaline, isn't that a plant-based kind of vegan high carb diet? Well, both of those diets can be healthy or unhealthy. Now, with a ketogenic diet, because it's this, it's very specific in its macronutrient ratio. So as I mentioned, about 80% fat, 15% protein, 5% carbs. Many people just focus in on that. And keto can get quite unhealthy if those fats include things like a lot of highly processed vegetable oils, if it includes a lot of artificial sweeteners and things. That's where keto is not going to do you any favors, and it certainly won't be anti-aging eating unhealthy foods. The alkaline diet can be not a great diet if we're just focusing in on high carb and not including the healthy fats. So the good thing about the alkaline diet, which is really anti-aging, really health producing in our bodies, is we're focusing in on increasing our alkaline minerals in our diet. So why do we need alkaline minerals, and what are they? Well, they're electrolytes. So, you've probably heard of electrolytes, and especially if you're a sports person, you'll know that after a long kind of endurance event, you need to replace electrolytes. So specifically, those things are 4 main minerals. So you've got sodium, so salt, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. And the vast majority of people are deficient in at least 3 of those. And what that does in our bodies, if we are deficient, is it can interfere with our hormones. So it can produce things like a low thyroid function. Insulin and cortisol can be out of balance, and that's has pretty negative aging impacts as well, which we can look at. And also things like muscle function. So we can have things like muscle spasms and cramps, and even things like depression, and later down the line, things like dementia and Alzheimer's, if we're not getting enough of these alkaline mineral electrolytes that our body needs. So a kind of a crossover of the two diets, keto and alkaline, is one that is full of healthy saturated and unsaturated fats with keto, lowering the carbs right down, and then including these alkaline mineral rich foods to give our body these electrolytes that we need for good nerve function, good hormone function, good skin, good sleep, all that kind of stuff.
So could you share what some of those, like examples of some of those alkaline rich foods are?
Yeah, sure. So alkaline foods are things like avocados, leafy greens. So anything that's got that dark green pigment in it signifies chlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll, which is sunlight energy in the plants, is just one molecule different from our own blood's hemoglobin. So because of that, what that means is when we have lots of chlorophyll rich foods, it's a blood cleanser, it's a blood builder, and that in itself has the effect of kind of cleaning house and cleaning up our cells, and can slow down the aging process. So things like when I first went onto an alkaline diet in my kind of early 20s, I was beginning to get some gray hair. I was beginning to get fine lines and wrinkles around here. Once I upped my alkaline minerals, then my hair has gone back to its natural color. So I'm 40 years old. This is my natural hair color now. And things like, avocados, leafy greens, wheatgrass juice is amazing as well. So these alkaline minerals can really have a very apparent anti-aging effect. This isn't just in theory. I saw my hair go back to its natural color. I saw fine lines and wrinkles disappear off my face once I upped those alkaline foods. So yeah, you can't go wrong with leafy greens.
Some of my favorite foods. Leafy greens. So for people watching right now who are curious and want to take this on, like what are some tips and tools to get started on the keto alkaline diet?
That's a really good question, because this, in my view, I've been a nutritionist and health coach now for almost 20 years. And, I've tried every diet under the sun, from, as I mentioned, high carb, low fat vegan. I've tried Atkins, South Beach, everything under the sun. And in my view, this is like the supreme diet. I call it the kind of Formula One diet. But as such, it's super powerful. But just like a Formula One racing car, you can't just get in it and drive, because there's a lot of power, and you need to be able to use that power in the right way. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's a right way and a wrong way to approach this. So the wrong way would be, okay, I understand that keto is high fat, low carb. I'm just going to download a few recipes from the internet, some keto recipes, and give it a go. You can do that, and certainly there's many people, who are doing that. But if you don't factor in these alkaline foods, and again, you need to know, okay, how much potassium do you need each day? How much calcium? How much magnesium? What's the best way to get those? What's the best form? Do I need to supplement at times if I'm not getting enough through my foods? All of those things you need to keep in mind, because if not, then, you might have heard of the keto flu. So people sometimes start a keto diet and then experience this thing called keto flu. Now, it's not actually flu symptom, it's not real flu. It's symptoms basically saying that your body is needing minerals that it's not getting. There can be other factors as well, for sure. If you're stressed, if you can't sleep, then that can have, you can have headaches and cravings and things. But for the most part, all of those issues, negative side effects from switching fuel source from being a carb burner to a fat burner, which is what happens when we go into ketosis, can be overcome by getting enough of these alkaline minerals. So my advice would be, it takes around about, for someone starting out brand new to keto, it'll take about 3 days to get into nutritional ketosis, for your body to kind of get rid of all of its carb stores, get rid of all the glycogen from the liver, and start producing these ketones and using those for fuel. You know, if you think about it, many people have been just burning carbs as their predominant fuel source most of their lives. So if you're in your, 40s, 50s, 60s, then that's going to be an adjustment. Mm-hmm. So it will take about 3 days to switch fuel source. And from there, again, you need to be mindful of getting enough of these alkaline foods to support your body's healthy ketosis. So you need a well-formulated plan, is what I'd say. And just on the topic of, okay, why do I need to focus on these alkaline minerals? Because I've never, most people I work with have never factored that in before in their lives. So why do I suddenly need to now? Surely if I'm on a keto diet that needs me to be mindful of this, that can't be healthy. Well, the thing is this, keto, because you're now burning fats, we're not holding on to as much water weight, which is what happens when you're mainly a carb burner. So if you experience kind of water retention, bloating, any of that kind of stuff where you feel just a bit puffy, all of that disappears on keto for the vast majority of people. So you start releasing water weight because carbs actually hold on to water. So we can expect that once we're not taking in as much carbs, then we naturally urinate more, and we flush out a lot of water from our body, which can be really healthy. It gets rid of a lot of toxins, but we also lose those electrolyte alkaline minerals as well. So that's where we need to, be more mindful on a keto diet than we would on another type of diet.
So are there any things to watch out for people who've never done it before? Like you said, it takes 3 days to get into that state. So is there anything side effects or stuff that your body obviously goes through as it's shifting into this different state? Like anything that you could shed light on there for people so they know what could potentially happen in those few days?
Yeah, so you'll probably experience carb cravings, sugar cravings for the first few days. There's no kind of getting around that. Just like, when I gave up smoking, having smoked for 10 years, there's a period of withdrawal, right? And it's the same with sugar. Sugar is so addictive that, there will be a period where we're craving sweet foods and things. But the good thing is that it doesn't take long to overcome, especially if you're including those alkaline minerals and enough healthy fats. Those cravings will go typically within a few days to a week. And then something quite amazing happens. You feel supremely satisfied eating smaller meals, these healthy fats. So for me, I was a complete sugar addict before, especially when I was doing my long runs and things. I would, finish a 20-mile race and then come home and just have lots of rice and pasta and fruits and cakes and things. And why not? I thought I deserved it because I just run this long race. But it just fueled more cravings. But what happens when you're in ketosis is those cravings go. So you'll get to a point where, you have your meal, whether that's breakfast or lunch, and then many, many hours can pass before you actually think about eating again. So you're not constantly thinking about an afternoon snack or that sugary treat. It frees your mind up. So in terms of as a business owner, that's made a massive difference to me in terms of, okay, I'm now more productive in the afternoons instead of sat here, feeling a bit of a slump in the afternoon. My energy's dipped. I need some kind of sugary treat or a coffee as a pick me up. No, you have stable mood, stable energy, no cravings. And I'm, my mind's free to focus on my work, write my next book, whatever that is. So, and that's the kind of practical benefits, but all of that has an innate benefit on our physiology, again, in terms of lowering that aging process or slowing down that aging process.
Awesome. Thank you. This is awesome. I really appreciate you and all your insights and everything. And I also want to make sure you have a chance to talk about a gift you have for everybody, as well as an offer. So there's a couple buttons below this video, everyone who's watching or listening right now. So could you tell us about what those two things are?
Yes. So if you're listening to this thinking, okay, I want to know more about keto and alkaline, I've got a complete, quite comprehensive foods list, the keto and alkaline diet foods list PDF that you can print. Many of my clients print it, put it on their fridge, and that's their kind of go-to sheet for what kind of foods should I be eating, what kind of food should I be avoiding. So that's a complete comprehensive list that you can download for free. I also have a free quit sugar plan as well. So if you're thinking, yeah, you rumbled me, I'm a bit of a sugar fiend. I've got a really very simple and effective 10-step free plan for quitting sugar, if that's something of interest to you. And also for your viewers, Andy, you can get 10% off of my Keto Life 4-week program. So you get 4 weeks of completely well-formulated meal plans, which are keto and alkaline. So you don't need to worry about kind of counting your macronutrients and working out alkaline minerals and things. I've done that all for you with 4 weeks of delicious meal plans and recipes and things. And then there's a whole training program around it and coaching with me. So that's a 4-week program, and there's 10% off for your viewers, Andy. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for both of those things. I love it. And everyone watching, again, if you want to dive deeper, whether you want to just get the list and figure out, what's keto, what's alkaline, and get off sugar potentially if you are a person who loves sugar and or the program. So I love it. Thank you so much. Are there any last insights? Anything else? Have we left anything out before we wrap up?
There are a few things. Specifically on anti-aging. So keto, once you get into nutritional ketosis, it sparks a thing called autophagy, which is now it's something that also is really beneficial on a calorie restricted diet. So we've known for decades and decades that a diet that's calorie restricted, so if we're eating slightly less each day than our body needs, then that has very good longevity properties. So it extends life, and that's been known for years and years. So fasting is a good way of inducing this autophagy state, but also because the keto diet is what's called a fasting mimicking diet, so it has all of the same benefits as if you were to do an extended fast. But I don't know about you, but most people I know aren't gonna fast or eat a really low calorie diet for an extended period because it's not practical and it's hard work and all the rest of it. But when you get into ketosis, it mimics fasting in this way. Fats are the only macronutrient out of carbs, fats, and protein that don't spike, or that doesn't spike insulin. So typically when we have a sugary type food or a carbohydrate food, even if it's something like a potato or sweet potato or brown rice, it spikes insulin. So when we spike insulin, our body releases the hormone, it spikes our blood sugar, and then our body releases insulin to counterbalance that, which then lowers our blood sugar. So we can get into this blood sugar roller coaster of we eat a carbohydrate food, blood sugar goes up, insulin released, blood sugar goes down. And then when our blood sugar goes down, what happens? We have a craving, we have a sugar dip, we feel tired, cranky, hangry. So we have another sugary food, blood sugar goes up, insulin released, and we just have this constant roller coaster. Protein also, to a lesser extent, spikes blood sugar and insulin. Fat is the only macronutrient which has virtually no effect on blood sugar and insulin. So what that means is when we're having this diet, which is supremely high in fat and low in carbs, our energy is like this. We're not releasing insulin. So you've probably heard of insulin resistance, a pre-diabetic state. And, we know how many millions of people have got type 2 diabetes at this point. This is a really great way to just to keep our energy level stable, but also to get out of this pre-diabetic range and spark this autophagy. So autophagy specifically is where blood sugar is stable. Our body is able to clean house in terms of repairing damaged cells, renewing cells. So it takes kind of bits from cells over here, bits from over there, and recycles it, if you like. And that has, again, big anti-aging properties. So instead of, scrapping these cells, it recycles them. And how does that manifest in our body? Well, again, better skin, shinier skin, more supple skin, more shiny hair, brighter eyes, stronger nails, sharper mind. It's really protective against things like Alzheimer's, dementia, other age-related diseases. So that's one thing. The other thing is that a ketogenic diet that focuses in on good saturated fats specifically has a really good thing in that it's going to be high in vitamin A. So if you think foods like grass-fed butter, cod liver oil, eggs, so egg yolks, all those things that we're likely, if we've listened to the nutritional guidelines, to think, aren't they unhealthy foods? Aren't they going to give us clogged arteries and heart disease? Well, no, they're not. And if you want to, look into this a bit more, I'd recommend Nina Teicholz on YouTube. Look up The Big Fat Surprise. So that's Nina Teicholz, and just type in The Big Fat Surprise in YouTube. Watch her TED talk on this, because she really confirms what I'm saying in this regard, that saturated fats are really good for us. They're not unhealthy. But when we include those foods in our diet, it naturally, again, has anti-aging properties, because our skin, our cell membranes are made out of saturated fat and cholesterol. They're not made out of carbohydrates. They're made of some protein, but predominantly fat. And also our brain is made up of a lot of fat. Now, vegans I meet will say, okay, but I can just have, nuts and seeds and things like that, and olive oil, and yes, those things are healthy and they're okay, but there's nuances which really come into play when we go onto a ketogenic diet. So things like vitamin A is a prime one. It's a very anti-aging mineral, but there's two forms. You've got beta carotene and then you've got retinol. Now, beta carotene is found in plant-based foods, whereas retinol is the active form, and that actually is what our bodies can use and need on a much kind of bigger scale. And those things, again, are found in egg yolks and grass-fed butter. So that's why we need to not be shunning the animal fats. We need those in our diet. They're super healthy. And if you want to, look and feel good as you age, then add those things back into your diet if they're not already.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate your sharing your thoughts and insights around that and healthy aging. And thank you so much for being here and for all that you do and taking time to talk with us today.
Thanks, Andy. Real pleasure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
And everyone who's watching and listening right now, thank you so much for showing up for yourself in this journey. And we will see you again very soon. Take care.